When the plane arrived and we were looking at everything out the windows, I was just like, it's so green. It's so green because I come from Utah and it is a desert and it's dead. There's nothing. There's no green anywhere, unless if you count like a few trees near the canyon, but that's about it. So I was just like, look at all these leaves. They're as big as me. It was really pretty arriving, and I knew I was going to love this place when I arrived. One big thing that was different was that there are like no fences and no yards. Everybody has like their homes almost up to the lot, and they have fences, not fences, but cages almost. Oh my gosh, that sounds horrible. Not cages. Their fences are so high that they go over and they like box in their homes. And their windows, they don't have glass windows there. They have metal slats. And instead of knocking at the door because you couldn't reach the door due to the boxed fence, you would just call up like up into the slats and say like, hola, buenas, in order to talk to somebody, see if they were home. I was like, that's different, because usually here I'm like, I text my friends before I'm going over. People usually call or text before they head over. So in Puerto Rico, just calling up into their windows was different. Something that shocked me was that there's literally like fruit trees everywhere. At least in my first area, Ponce, there was like mango trees everywhere. There was plantains. You would just be walking down the street and all of a sudden mangoes would fall onto the ground. And you're just like, oh, look. None of it is disgusting, okay? I find that offensive. All of the Puerto Rican food is so good. Like, I mean, it's greasy, very greasy. But hey, if you're Puerto Rican, you know that, you roll with it. It's great. One of my favorite foods is tostones. So good. So what they are is plantains so they're kind of like a bitter banana, and they mash them up and deep fry them twice. And then you use them and you eat them with fry sauce. That's one thing Puerto Rico and Utah have in common is fry sauce. And it's the best. But their fry sauce, they add garlic and they sell it at the store just lined up along with their rows of Nutella and their rows of saltines. If you know what I'm talking about, I'm not exaggerating, and you know it. I also like monfongo. It's like a plantain and meat combo. Yeah, all I can say is that every time my husband says, where did my phone go? I'm thinking, I want some monfongo. Okay, don't quote me on this. I believe the drink I'm about to describe is called mata. If I'm wrong, go ahead and make fun of me in the comments, okay? But it's this drink that tastes like Coke and also egg. Like, it tastes like both of those mixed together, and it's a very popular Puerto Rican drink. I remember there was this couple that we would go teach, and they would invite us over to have dinner, and every time we went and visited them, they gave us a bottle of mata. And my companion and I, we didn't like matas, and we felt bad, but we would take them, and then we would just keep them in our closet at our home, and we had a closet full of matas. It was insane. We had like maybe about 30 or 40 of them. But eventually we start drinking them, and I got the taste for it. Another thing that is different about Puerto Rican food, there's this thing called limbers, where they're like popsicles that people freeze into cups, but they make them at home, and most people just sell them in their backyards. So while we were proselyting, we would just walk around, and if we were like, okay, it's extremely hot today, we're gonna go get a limber, you would just find a house that had we sell limbers in their front yard, and then we would call them out, hola, buena, and then they would come out and they would say, okay, we have these flavors, like, what do you want? And they had Oreo, Nutella was huge, like I said, with the Nutella, the Nutella aisles at Walmart, and strawberries and mangoes and just the fresh fruit they had there. They were all so good. And I don't think they get rated and ranked high enough. Honestly, I miss limbers. I'd go back to Puerto Rico just for the limbers. Just saying. So chuletas are part of a pig, so it's like a type of pork, but it's a specific cut, and Puerto Ricans will deep fry it and serve it with black beans, the little white beans, and just amazing sauces that they make from scratch with seasonings, and I have no idea, but I swear it's like manna. They just make it and it's beautiful. It's your chuletas, and they serve it with tostones and the fry sauce and the bean mix, and it's so good. I'd go back for the food, honestly. So the things I love about the people and culture, there are so many, because the people are wonderful. Like, I would say, okay, Puerto Ricans, don't come after me, but you're like cactus, beautiful cactus. You're a little prickly on the outside, but once you get to the inside and the core of who you guys are, you're so sweet and loving and giving. It's the best experience. We were hiking up this crazy big mountain area in Caguas, and there was just homes all lined up, and it was raining. It was pouring rain so much that we were soaked, and we didn't have umbrellas because that would be a good idea, but what were we thinking? So we were hiking around in the rain, and we were just calling out to homes to see if we can talk to anybody, find anybody. And there was a member who like opened her slat and looked at us, and she was like, "Hermanas, what are you doing?" And we were just like, "Oh, hey," just smiling, just like walking around like, "Yep, it's pouring rain, but we're here." And she's like, "Get inside my house right now." And I was like, "Oh, we're being scolded." And she made us hot cocoa, gave us towels, and made us these very classic Puerto Rican sandwiches, again, to the food, where it's white bread, a thick layer of mayonnaise, cheese, and then it's fried. So it's like a really fancy grilled cheese. And she gave us that, and we got to sit around the table and talk with her about how she was doing. I really like the people. I love them. They're fantastic. They're, again, like a cactus. A little prickly on the outside, but once you get inside, they are the sweetest. Puerto Rico, as loving and wonderful as the people are, it is not a safe place to be, especially as sister missionaries. I would advise you to have some pepper spray. Honestly, the best way to avoid having an incident happen when you're on the street proselyting is to make eye contact with everybody and say, "Hola," like recognize that they are there. That's one thing that I learned that helped me a lot. And don't be afraid to hold your pepper spray in your hand when you're walking and you feel uncomfortable, because at least for me, my companion, we never got assaulted on the street proselyting, because we would make eye contact, let other people know that we see them and that we would recognize them in a lineup if it was necessary. That seems a little scary, but like it's the honest truth. But like if you do that and have your pepper spray, mine was in a hot pink bottle, so I swear, when I made eye contact and I just hold my pepper spray up a little, people would look at me like, "This girl's got gall." But honestly, if you do that, you will be okay for the most part. I can't promise that nothing will happen, because I'm not a god. I can't do that. But as long as you take care of yourself, God will take care of you. Something fairly common crime-wise is that I never got robbed on my mission, but I had a pair of STLs who did. They were approached with, this guy approached them with a knife and told them to give them all their money. So they did, and he left, and they were okay. So I would say theft is the biggest one. I feel like for the most part, you're not going to get assaulted in the street, but there are a few people who will attempt to break into your house. And unfortunately, that one did happen to me. My companion and I, we were protected, but we still had to deal with the repercussions afterwards. So Puerto Ricans, their accent is they have a double R whenever. Okay, so it sounds like an H sound whenever there's a double R. So perro, like dog, it would be perro. Carro would be carro. Yeah, so some of the words at the very beginning of my mission, I thought perro and perro were two different words, but they're the same word with a different accent. I had a companion who spoke Puerto Rican Spanish, a companion who spoke Argentine Spanish, and a companion who spoke Dominican Spanish. And the difference between all three of those is Puerto Ricans make that sound when there are double R's. Argentines make a sh sound for double L's, like calle instead of calle. And then Dominicans, they have the most beautiful Spanish. It is so clear and beautiful, but it's fast. But yeah, I like Puerto Rican Spanish. Once I got the hang of it, I was like, I know what that word means. Dominican Spanish, I'm just like, it's the superior Spanish. And all you Puerto Ricans are gonna come after me. When I first started my mission as a trainee, my trainer told me about a very embarrassing story. And yes, I'm Rana Allred. I'm going to share it now. So she told me with her trainer, she would go around and people in the culture, they say buen provecho if they see anybody eating. Like if they know them, if they don't know them, you see somebody eating, you say buen provecho, like good eating, good luck, good for you. Well, not good luck, but good for you. And the other phrase is bien hecho, which is good job. My trainer got these two confused. So she walked up, like she's brand new at this point. She's excited. She's like, okay, I did my study. I'm ready to go talk to people. And she sees somebody eating and she says, bien hecho. And they looked at her like so confused, and her trainer laughed at her. And Hermana Allred was like, what? Like, isn't that what you say? And her trainer said, no, you say buen provecho, not bien hecho. So she pretty much walked up to these people and said, good job. And it's like, good job on that hamburger. And then afterwards she was just like, she turns this cute color of red when she's embarrassed. It's amazing. There are lizards everywhere. Not lizards, iguanas. Excuse me. Iguanas everywhere. They fall out of trees. They're constantly crossing the road. You go anywhere and there's iguanas everywhere. I've had my fair share of seeing dogs grab iguanas and dragging them. They were just massive. They weren't like these tiny little things that you imagine are in the jungle. They were huge. They were the size of think a small poodle. And they'd just be everywhere. And then another thing is there was also cats and dogs everywhere as well. There was lots of animals anywhere you went. Like we would be walking and there would be a basketball court, and we'd look in and there would be a pack of dogs just sleeping there, and we'd be like, we don't know if these are nice dogs, so we're just gonna be quiet and move along. Okay, there is this one story that is known in Puerto Rico. There was a white man named Jesus that came, and he blessed the people, and then he left. And many years later, they still remembered this man. And there was white settlers that came across, like, think Columbus age, not age, but like esque. Like, they came across the sea, and when the Puerto Ricans saw these white people, they thought, oh, they're gods, because the only other white person they knew was a god. So they were treating them like royalty, and one day these people were treating them very poorly. So one day there was a Puerto Rican and his buddies, and they went and they kidnapped one, and they're like, okay, if he is just human, he'll die. But if he is a god, he can be resurrected, like Jesus was. So they go, they kill this man. He doesn't come back to life in 3 days. And then they drive the people out of their country. I mean, that's a little, like, dark story, but the essence of it is that they knew Jesus Christ. They knew that he had come and that he died and he was resurrected. And I think that's very important for all of us Boricuas, is that we just come together with Christ. And I know a lot of you do that already. There are churches on every other corner in Puerto Rico. But yeah, coming to Christ is the most important thing we can do. Puerto Rico is like your hand, the shape of Puerto Rico. Ponce, my first area, was down here. Mayagüez was over on the side. And that's where the story originated. So, yeah. Soy Boricua hoy, mañana y para siempre.